When you're headed out for a day of fishing, the anticipation can be pretty intense. Fly fishing is a process. It involves understanding what's going on in the stream, understanding how your gear works, understanding what flies you should be using, etc. And then assembling a strategy that gives you the greatest opportunity to catch a fish. So by the time you've assembled your gear and gotten to the stream, you've already made a lot of decisions about what your first approach is going to be on the stream. Successful investors do the same thing about the stream of the capital markets. They approach it in a way that they're going to use the evidence that they can gather about that stream to their advantage to harvest returns. The patience that's required to be a successful long-term investor is born of confidence in process, an understanding of how all the components of the portfolio work together to achieve your goals. Getting the fly to the right place at the right time, at the right speed, at the right depth, all those things come together in that instant that the fish takes the fly. In fly fishing, there's an old adage: you're not going to catch a fish if your fly's not in the water. You find either fishermen or investors that have little experience or lack of confidence in their strategy, changing flies or changing investments with rapidity. And we know that this does one thing for sure: it increases your costs. There's a significant amount of evidence that it decreases the effectiveness long-term of the strategy. The same is true on the stream. There are good times and there are bad times. The difficulty is, much like the weather, you can't predict when they're going to occur. If your plan is well developed, then you'll be less likely to become despondent when things go poorly or overly enthusiastic when things go well. Both of those conditions lead to mistakes in the investment markets. In the case of wealth management and investing, your toolbox or your box of flies are the various sectors of the capital markets. A properly diversified portfolio gives you the opportunity to use all your flies at the same time. And the evidence is very clear. If you broadly diversify your portfolio, keep your costs in check, and be disciplined about your asset allocation, over time you're going to have a much better chance of reaching your goals. Very rarely in fly fishing can we see everything that's going on in the stream from looking at the surface of the water. But we know that there are things happening that we can either take advantage of or avoid. Transparency in the investment process and the costs associated with your investment process and your investment strategy are really critical to the establishment of trust and to the long-term relationship that you have with a client. The motivation that I had to move from the traditional brokerage model to an independent RIA model was a level of dissatisfaction with the level of transparency that my clients saw in terms of the relationship with the brokerage firm. We were motivated to create an environment in which we were on the same side of the table as our client, where it was in both of our interests to keep their costs as low as possible, because in the long run, that benefited both of us. Because it's only when they have that understanding that they then gain the full confidence to be able to stick with their plan and reach their goals, which is at the end of the day the most important. When I realized that fly fishing was going to be a passion of mine for the rest of my life, I want to choose a guide based on their ability to teach me process to catch fish over the long term. With an advisor, you want an advisor who's going to deliver a process that's going to make you most successful over the long term. We believe that an evidence-based approach to wealth management is the best defense against an unpredictable future. We welcome the opportunity to have a discussion with you.